Where are they? Okay, there they are. Everybody going for Rogue, and I think that makes sense. Rogue just still one of the most consistent Zergs here in Korea, one of the best, whereas MarineKing, he's been especially failing in the TVT matchup, but also not showing the best results across the board, so this kind of makes sense to me. And I don't think we're gonna fail on this prediction unless MarineKing pulls like that one game he actually won against Roro. I don't think that's going to happen here, and that's why I went for Rogue.
Well, this is like one of those moments where, like, I vote for MarineKing in odd times. Sometimes where I'm like, I feel like this is
me too.
Time.
We both have done this one time in the past, and we were right both times, I think.
But that was back then when he was like, yo, everyone's like doing the whole anti-Hellbat meta. I'm just going to do a crazy bio push and beat you. And I was like, I feel like MarineKing's got something turning in his head. I'm like, next time I think I'm going to vote for him. I think he knows what's going on. But now I'm like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He's having some trouble. Like, he had a great Hot 6 Cup, and then we're back to square one.
He didn't really build it up after that.
Yeah.
He had a great tournament, and that was it. It's really sad to see, but let's talk about some things that could work for MarineKing here. He's back on King Sejong Station. He keeps on playing on this map. He played against Leenock on this map when Leenock was doing quite well. I don't think we've even seen Leenock after that loss because it was quite devastating. MarineKing did a very, very greedy economical build. He was just like back playing very passive, and Leenock just let it totally go. And finally, when MarineKing turned it on, it was just like too much stuff out of the Terran. Leenock never really put on any pressure. So maybe if Rogue, didn't study those games, or if he's just going to try to be a bit passive, you could see MarineKing possibly put on the pressure here onto Rogue. I'm still going to give this one to Rogue. Let's see what he does.
MarineKing is the type of player who does really well when he's in a defensive position, I feel. Like, there was actually a time where he and Polt were, like, super good at the 2 medevac push that we used to see in TVP. They were, like, that was when, like, MarineKing was aggressive. But besides that, and also, like, when he played against Curix on Shakura's Plateau and, like, showed people that you could split Marines and win games and without combat shields. But, like, when I think about MarineKing, I think about, like, when I think about MarineKing's big wins, I feel like I was thinking about MarineKing defends an all-in, or MarineKing, like, got away with greed, and he got too much, he got too far ahead.
That's the biggest thing that speaks to me, actually. When MarineKing gets away with greed, he can win games.
Yeah.
It makes sense, like, across the board, if you're going to get away with greed, if your opponent's not going to punish your greed, you should be able to win the game.
Like, MarineKing's splitting is actually it's insanely good. It's actually quite good. Yeah. He made a career, off of that basically. Mm-hmm. But that was a different era because back then, like, very few players could actually split their Marines. And guess what? The players who could back then are the players who are still around today. Like, the people back then, like Curix, those types of players, like, back in that day, like, they just weren't as good. Like, StarCraft 2 was very new back then. The level of skill was just not quite that high. We didn't have Kespa houses. We didn't have Kespa players switching over. But MarineKing is still around for a reason. His mechanics, his splitting are good. If he gets his greed, man, his splitting is as good as it always is. He's really good at engaging. He knows how to take fights. He knows when to take them. If he gets ahead,
if he gets ahead,
he's gonna do fine. But sometimes his greed comes back to bite him, and sometimes, he gets on tilt. Like, he's the type of player if, like, his base is blocked or something by a drone, he gets so mad you could see it affects his play.
It really does, and that's one of the biggest things to keep in mind about MarineKing. Introducing our generic Green Wings player here, it's Rogue. He is 5-2 so far. He's got one win against Terran in 2015, and liking this map, he plays on it a decent amount here. He's been showcasing some really strange play against Protoss these days on this map. Just weird, like, hive rushes into, like, Ultraless Den. I casted a game with Artosis where he played against Hero, and we were just like, whoa, what is going on? So Rogue, not a stranger to some experimentation as well.
Yeah. Well, let's see, MarineKing 3-8 this season. 13-21 actually. So if you look at that and you, like, kind of subtract the stats, like, his old stat was like 10 and 13. That's, like, not bad actually. Like,
50%.
Last season he did pretty okay for himself. He had a lot of surprising victories. He was one of the better and more successful players on Prime, but Rogue is clearly the favorite. More than anyone has been the favorite today.
Yeah, and I also want to point out MarineKing, 6 of those losses, or like 5 or 6 of them, are against Terran. So totally different matchup here. He's made it work against better Zergs before. Let's see if he can do it here against Rogue. It's Rogue versus MarineKing on King Sejong Station. Up here in the top left, in the green, for the Jin Air Green Wings, it is Rogue.
As he's known in Twitch chat, Log. And down in the bottom right in teal, it's the King of Marines. It's a MarineKing. MarineKing Prime, as he's often called, MKP, even though he's left the team, which is really a historic moment in StarCraft 2 because you have a player who's on a team for so long. Like, there's very few players that have been on a team so long and they're so iconic for that team. Like, for example, like when you think about MVP, you think I am MVP. You think about Nesty, you think I am Nesty. You think MarineKing, you think MarineKing Prime. Like, there are these players that are like so, like Jin Air Green Wings Rogue. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's like, I just feel like he's iconic. I can't ever imagine him leaving that team. But there's very few players where you're like, they have never left and they were just such a player for that team. The funny thing is, Rogue actually used to play for like Kespa's 8th team, but you know, basically became Jin Air Green Wings, so it doesn't really count. But just putting that out there, and he actually wasn't that successful back then either. Sorry, Rogue.
Well, he's come a long way, and that's what we like to see down here. He's only played one game against MarineKing in Heart of the Swarm. I was trying to think about past games between these two, but they just really don't come to mind. I don't really remember any other Rogue versus MVP, or rather MarineKing game.
I don't think so. I can't think of any either.
Wonder where that game was from.
Maybe I'm like maybe it was the preseason last year. Like, I don't know. I feel like Rogue. I know Rogue played in that for sure, and I think MarineKing did too, but just not coming to mind. Well, just how we are here as it is right now. I mean, this is a pretty weird opening. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry.
It's just a Reaper opening from.
Well, I saw Gas and MarineKing, and I'm like, well, what is this? Like, this is not a CC first. Like, my brain was like, oh my god, he's doing one base factory. Then I'm like, no, he's just gonna get a Reaper. But I just was confused because MarineKing normally goes CC first on this map.
Yeah. Well, it's sometimes hard not to get confused by MarineKing's play. I think the last game he played was it Reality on this map, TVT, and he just went for some kind of one base all in, just got like squashed. I was just like, oh my god.
That was just really odd.
Yeah, MarineKing coming back here, he's got to wipe that one off the slate.
That was
actually that game.
That was a quite memorable game. Like, that's one of those games where you're just like, ooh, that was a bad day. Well, like one of Reality's Banshees.
We had like that game and then like a really bad game after that. I looked at Moonlight. I'm like, no, not today. Like
that. I think like a Banshee killed like 30 SCVs or something too on that map.
And Reality still won. It was strange.
Well, he is going 2 Reaper at least. We have seen sometimes he pull the 3rd Reaper, but I don't think so. Not this time. 6 Lings here. Gonna deter this.
Yeah.
Good micro on the Lings so far. Oh, this drone though, not targeted. Really hard to target that. Gonna get away anyways in most cases, but
yeah. And I guess just the extra 2 Lings here, it makes sense. Just a lot more extra Reaper play. I like to call it like more than 1 Reaper play these days. So just make an extra 2 be extra safe. Yeah. You're only losing 1 drone out of it. Try not to lose a queen.
One of the best maps in the pool for Reapers anyway too. Like, there's just so many different ways you can get into the base. That queen is ready if they jump up though. But he's just gonna come down instead. That drone getting pretty low. Does go down.
Ooh. Okay.
That's
getting
like
some damage done.
You know, that's like almost never supposed to happen. I know that Tasteless Narcosis left a joke about this. You know, the Reaper in the early game that like comes over and does nothing. Like, it's kind of a funny fact about StarCraft. But it's actually one of the cool things about StarCraft, and this happened in StarCraft 1 as well, is you have like this little thing where you go over and you just kind of test the waters. Like, let's see if he messes up. He probably won't, but like if he makes one mistake, I might get a drone. And then I've got these Reapers that give me, you know, a little bit of map control and force Lings, but you're never going to get over there and kill like 4 drones, but you just have to do this thing and they have to defend it. It's just standard. Yeah. It's like probe harass in PvT, like on the ladder on Icy Cup, where like that probe just like slides around and kills your SCV, and you're like, God, like, oh, the game is so buggy.
You played Terran, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, we got that 3rd CC on the way here from MarineKing, kind of what I expected. He's got a very sizable harassment force here. He hasn't moved out just yet. I think he's waiting for 2 more Hellions, and then he's going to move out. It's not gigantic, of course, because he did go for that 3rd CC a bit early here. And let's see how Rogue wants to respond to this. We already see the Baneling nest coming down, actually, and a lot of lings are being made.
This is a very fast stim out of MarineKing, and extra barracks are coming up. It's very much like the MarineKing where he tries to experiment a little bit. And I kind of like this. He's playing differently than you would expect. Almost anyone would have bet big money that MarineKing was going to go for a third CC variation, but he's like adding barracks, getting a quick eBay even. Actually, double eBay. Oh, he actually did get a third CC. What am I saying? I'm like, I was so focused on what we were talking about earlier.
It's all good.
It's been a long day for me. I'm sorry.
Well, he still does have those 2 eBays on the way, but the focus here really is on Rogue. He got that pretty early Baneling nest, and he's got 16 Banelings on the way, as well as a very sizable amount of lings to force this up. I think Rogue is like, oh, you're just going to do the same thing you did last time against Lenog. I am going to crush you.
Yeah.
He sees the front as well. He sees what MarineKing has, and he's like, oh, I can beat that easy.
I'm not sure if MarineKing will be able to hold this. I mean, he doesn't even know. Like, even
especially if he wants to move out to that third base. He's flying it out there. He's floating. He's trying to go land it. It's not going to work, though.
Well, this might be a blessing in disguise, but at least he gets some reaction time here. He's going to have to micro these Hellions against the Banelings perfectly.
Yep,
but look at the zoning. Look at the zoning from Rogue. He zones out the Hellions, so the Banelings are totally safe. And they're going to go up here and get that money damage.
The supply depot is not lifted.
Money damage is going to come here. The Banelings are so in this base, they don't even know what to do with themselves. And now they're going to blow up as these. Oh! And now get that
explosions.
Get that add-on. At least Stim finishes. He's got that going for him, but not much else. Stim
He's
for
got
what
nothing
Marines.
to stim.
Yeah.
And,
oh, boy.
I think that's going to be it here for MarineKing. He's got nothing to follow this up. More hits down there. Everything at the natural gets killed except like 5 SCVs. He doesn't even have that wall complete.
Oh, boy.
Now the lings are in the main. This is GG. Rogue does it. Read like a book is MarineKing once again.
See, but everything I said that was wrong about the third CC is like actually what comes back to bite him here. Yeah, he was playing greedy, and this is going to be...
Yeah, let's see how long it takes MarineKing to GG.
Well, that's always the big question.
Yeah.
Ooh. Canceled 2 morphing Banelings with those 2 Widow Mines. That's absolutely not what he wanted. He's going to scan the third base first.
Yeah, he's just got to get out of this game right now.
Add-on's about to blow. There we go. It's like micro 2 Marines. He's the king of Marines. GG.
GG. And Rogue is going to force it to an ace match, boys.
Just too greedy.
Yeah.
Everything I said about him doing something special and unique was totally wrong, guys. I have this like weird bug in my UI on my PC on my screen. I've got to get that
the one
fixed.
with the white boxes.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna fix that after this. Remind me after we go to our break.
Yeah, it's quite annoying that Observer PC. So, but I don't know, man. He's just too predictable at times. It's like, okay, you're coming out on the same map. You're gonna do the same thing. Rogue has it done. The one chance he had was to just like make a bunch of Hellions and try to do what you were saying. You know, try to get really good shots on the Banelings before they were able to get in. But just from the get-go of that, like once the attack started, there was like everything went wrong for MarineKing. Like there was no wall. The supply depot never came up. His Hellions were out of position. They got zoned out. He was trying to micro his Marines, but the stim wasn't done. It was just very good timing out of Rogue, and everything went wrong for MarineKing. Playing very greedy, and he gets caught out.
Well, ace match number 1 coming at you guys in just a moment. The question is, who do they send? I feel like Losira is the no-brainer for MVP, but I don't know who Jenner is actually going to send to there. I would assume Rogue, to be honest, but like, I don't know. They have a few other players that they could pick. I don't think they're going to pick Pig Baby, but
I would be scared actually to send out a Zerg against Losira after seeing him crush Solar.
You know, maybe
with that crazy play.
Maybe they send Terminator here. It's actually possible on a day like today where some players are missing. They could send Terminator. Not out of the realm of possibility.
The map is Deadwing.
Yeah.
Could see
happen.
A Protoss. I think, like you said, I definitely do agree that Losira is going to come out here. I think it just makes sense. He's the ace player for MVP. And so it kind of just makes Jin Air's job very, very easy.
Don't forget Younghwa, though. Don't forget Younghwa. Absolutely a possibility, too.
Actually, you're exactly right. I did forget about Younghwa.
Forgot him,
he
too.
wasn't in the lineup. And let's see if they actually use him here. I'm actually very excited now to see who they put out here in the ace match.
We could have a Terminator versus Youngwa PvP. It's totally feasible. But I feel like, at this point, like, it's all on Jin Air to choose who they want to pick because there's two great ace players they could choose from on MVP. Like, there are clear picks. It's, like, very easy to choose between, it's like, okay, which one of you guys wants to go out? It's not like, okay, well, we don't want to send Rogue because it could be this. It's a bit tougher for them to pick, I feel.
I would be comfortable, actually, with SOS the way he played today. Send him out once again against Lucira. If it is Yeonhwa, his PvP isn't bad. And it's SOS. We're going to see Hero.
Liquid Hero.
Okay. All right. And what do you think that's about, actually?
I don't know, but you know what? I had this feeling. We walked by Hero. He said hello to us earlier. His English is actually getting phenomenal, by the way. But I just had this feeling. I was like, we might see Hero today. I just had this weird feeling, but I could never guess that. I could never say that because it's pretty weird pick.
Usually low.
It's kind of weird. He must have a really specific build in mind.
The last 2 times I think we've seen Hero was in very technical builds against Zerg. But let's go to a break, guys. We've got 10 minutes before we get into that ace match. It's going to be SOS versus Hero.